back for some maths. Still working with shape, although we're looking at lines of symmetry. Well, you might be familiar with them as mirror lines. We're looking at identifying lines of symmetry within shapes and also using a line of symmetry to reflect an image accurately. So really helpful if you've got a pencil or a ruler or both, and you can use your ruler to emulate a line of symmetry or a mirror line. So once you've got a shape drawn out accurately, and you can see I've got an oblong there, which is the type of rectangle, I can put my ruler on and then look down from it from above, and I can have a look and see, is the image on both sides the same? It's got to be identical, exactly the same. And you can see here it's not, 'cause it's much smaller on the left than it is on the right. So I need to move my mirror line across, and I stop when it looks the same on both sides. You can see there, they're both accurate. Now I've got squares to help me. So I've got 2 on this side, 2 on that side. They're the same width, and they're also the same height as well, or the same length. So then I can use my ruler to draw in my line of symmetry. You can either draw a faint line, or you can draw a dotted line exactly where that line was. I didn't move my ruler, and you can actually see there nice and clearly it's the same on both sides. Then you've got to ask yourself the question, are there any more lines of symmetry? So you take your ruler or you take your pencil again and think, well, I've done that one. Is the one that goes diagonally? And this is why sometimes a ruler's a little bit better, because it's narrower, so you can really line it up. You can see that actually that's not the same on both sides, because that point over here, if I continued it to the mirror line, it would actually be over here somewhere where my finger is. If I point really carefully with my pencil, it'd be over here, whereas actually the corner's up there. So there's not a diagonal one, and it would be the same that way. However, there is a horizontal mirror line, but it's about finding it. So again, I've got 3 squares below, 3 above. But if you haven't got squares, you've just got to do it as accurately as possible. Try and find the centre of that shape. So you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 below and 3 above. Now if I count my squares really carefully, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, well, I'm never going to have 4 on both sides or 3 on both sides. It's going to be awkward. But doesn't mean there's not a line of symmetry there. It just means it's 3.5 squares in between. So it's right in the centre of that square. So I can still draw my line of symmetry across. And now with that shape, I've shown really clearly the 2 lines of symmetry. Now the other thing you can do with mirror lines is you can reflect a shape accurately. Now here, I've got half of a shape. It doesn't have to be a regular shape, and you can see this one certainly isn't. But what I've done already, which is really useful, is wherever the corners were, I've put those dots on. So I've drawn myself a line of symmetry. I've got half my shape, and I've put those dots on. And they're going to be really helpful, because what I'm going to do is count to the line and away from the line and put those dots back in, put those corners in. So that one's already on the line, so I don't need to do that because I can't count to it or away from it, it's already there. Here I'm going to count to the line, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to carry it across, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where my dot will go. Now again, if you haven't got squares, you can measure to the line and then measure away from the line, and you can see there it's just under 3 centimetres, so I'll be really accurate and make sure it's the same there. I'm going to count to the line again, but actually I still know it's 4. I know it's got to be under that dot, so I could be a little bit clever and just count down 3. 1, 2, 3. Remember, good mathematicians are lazy mathematicians because they find the most efficient ways to do things. Count to the line 1, count away the line 1, and that one's already on the line. And now hopefully I can match up those dots accurately, and it should give us a mirror image which should have reflected that shape accurately. You can see there, if I cover up one side, cover up the other side, they look exactly the same, and that mirror line's already there. I don't need to put my ruler in, but you can see they're the same on both sides. So finding lines of symmetry in shapes we can do, and we can also reflect shapes or images using a line of symmetry that's already there for us. So what I'd like you to do is, with the 3 shapes I've drawn as carefully as I could, A, B and C, you might want to draw them out yourself. You might want to pause it and count how many squares there are, or do it on the screen. Find how many lines of symmetry are within each of those shapes. So pause the video, have a go. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to do that. Let's check some answers. For A, we just had one line of symmetry. I'm just going to draw a faint line in. So just one line of symmetry there. Misconception that we're not going to have one going through there. We're not going to have one going through there because actually, I was really sneaking. I made the bottom a little bit longer than the two sides. So actually, if I had a line of symmetry there, it wouldn't be accurate because I've got one side that's longer than the other. So those points wouldn't match up. One would be closer, one would be further away. We'll do C next. I'll come to B last because they don't have any particular order. But nice and easy. It almost looks like an eye, I think, or like a wonky oval. One through the middle, running vertically, and then one running horizontally. So there was two lines of symmetry for that shape. And then for B, and again, it is about counting those squares. If you haven't got them, it's probably of benefit to you because there I'm going to have to go through the middle. So there's 1.5 on both sides. So line of symmetry running vertically and horizontally, and of course you've taken your time and you've done that much neater than I have. But then also we've got some diagonal lines of symmetry going on. We've got one running across there because remember, if I put that mirror line in, it's got to look the same on both sides, and in fact it does. And I've got one running diagonally across there. And again, the way to double check is if you're unsure, pick a point. So if I pick this point down here, it should be one to the line and one away. And so it is. I could pick another really random point here. One to the line, two to the line, 2.5. And it should be over there. That's where it should end up. So there's my half, there's 1.5, there's 2. So you can double check it. So what you can do is have a go at creating your own shapes and finding lines of symmetry. I'll just show you one more thing as well in how to reflect lines. So the first thing you're going to need to do is draw yourself a mirror line. Doesn't matter how big or little it is, that's depending on the size of your shape. And all you're going to do on the one side of it, you're going to place dots. And you can do them randomly. Always start at the line and always finish at the line. That's what I like to do. So I'm going to do one over here. One over here. I might come backwards on myself because you can make this as easy or as complicated as you want. That'll do. I've placed my dots. Now you've got to join them up in a way that it makes a shape. So it's got to be the perimeter. It's got to be the edge of them because we can't go in here, carry on, and then forget about those two. So I'm going to join them up with my ruler. I'm going to go down here, and again I've made a lovely shape for me to copy out. But you make this as easy or as difficult as you like, and that's not quite a straight line back, but more or less. And there you've got what I started with. So you've got the line of symmetry, and you've got a shape on the left for you to then reflect on the right. So then if you've got a ruler, you can measure to the line and measure away. If you've got squares, count with squares. If you haven't got a ruler and you've got a pencil, just put your finger on where the pencil is, move it across, and then, well, that's where my finger is, and it's roughly there. Okay, use what you've got. So, two things for you to do. Draw yourself a shape using a line of symmetry on one side and try and reflect it. Draw yourself some random shapes or some regular shapes. You can see we've got a triangle there. And then look for the mirror lines and the lines of symmetry within those.